Yo, what's going on, guys? We're gonna be going over today's price action. Going over what trade I ended up taking today. I ended up taking one trade today, and it ended up being a loss. So we're gonna go over why I ended up taking it, why I liked it in the moment, and also some things wrong with it as well. So cool. We're back on trade of eight now too. So we got the replay thing going on, which is perfect. So ignoring this 4 hour candle. Coming into today, I was low key looking pretty bearish on the higher time frame. Reason being, if you want to go to the 15-minute here, even the hourly here, you can see again, ignore this hourly candle, but during this time it was around whatever, maybe 8 a.m. We were rejecting off this hourly gap and it looked like we wanted to make a move lower. Overall, in the higher time frame, we are looking extremely bearish too. Just ripping through all of this liquidity, disrespecting bearish, disrespecting bullish, respecting bearish, and we do have some pretty good draws lower, being high resistance liquidity on the higher time frame down here. So it's like this external range liquidity down here, which is low resistance. Why is it low resistance? Because it's just not resting inside of anything significant here. Don't have any gaps on the 4 hour, 30 minute, 1 hour that is really protecting this low here. And it just looks like something that we'd want to take. We also left a failure swing to it on Monday. So yesterday we left a failure swing to it. Monday, that's today, sorry, in the overnight session. So London left a failure swing to this low. So what I was looking for was for us to generate liquidity towards that low and have a retrace higher, like this 1 hour here, maybe get a higher time frame continuation of this M15-minute candle or this 15-minute gap here. So low key coming into market open, I was looking for this. So this is exactly what we were doing. We were accumulating pre-market, as you can see, and then I want 9:30 to open higher, sweep out these internal highs, maybe tap this 15-minute, and then look for trades to the downside there, targeting this low that we made here. So this internal range low, obviously the higher time frame being backing this trade as well, with the draws on liquidity lower for sure. And that was one option. But again, I wasn't 100% bearish coming into today. I was leaning bearish. Reason being is because we did have this new week opening gap here, which is absolutely massive. Asia ended up coming into it and did do a decent bit of damage on it, so it did come in and end up filling a good bit of it. But we still had this to leave here. And new day opening, sorry, not new day, this is a new week. This new week opening gap is a super strong draw, basically a magnet to price. So there is definitely reason for us to move higher here, and on the lower time frame, or on the higher time frame, I guess structure here wise, we are respecting this 1 hour, so I definitely could have seen us move towards this new week opening gap too. So this 15-minute bearish for value gap here was my condition coming into today. However, we reacted with this gap would have been sort of what I would have been basing my bias off of, to be honest. So yeah, again, coming into market open, then let's see what we do. Let's just go to the 5-minute chart here. Boom. Absolute diddy candle to the upside there. Slammed out that 15-minute for value gap. No signs of respecting it whatsoever here. Had like a little failure swing lower here. Didn't take out anything significant, so longs here weren't really valid. If we ended up re-sweeping out this low inside of this hourly gap, then maybe we could have looked for some longs, because there was some pretty good structure generated above us here that we could have definitely capitalized off if that happened. But we just ended up printing higher, disrespecting this 15-minute gap, and in return, disrespecting these hourly gaps as well. We just started completely running through them. So the obvious draw from here was 100% the new day or new week opening gap that we had yet to fully fill. So with that in mind, we kind of had this continuation right here, which presented, nope, never mind, not this one. Somewhere here, was it this? Nope, still not this. Yeah, it was this here. So boom, right here we had, I think it was a 15-minute gap. Nope, never mind. My God, when was this? Right here, perfect. So right here at 10 a.m. we had a 10 a.m. PO3 to the downside where we whipped into this 15-minute for value gap. But just from here, there was a 30-second inversion that you could have taken. I don't have the 30-second chart on this. I did see it on Trade but I did decide to fade this just because we did leave this 5-minute gap here. And I know obviously we don't need to tap the 5-minute gap every time, but this is like a low that we had going on here. So I did want to see us sweep this. So what I was hoping for was for 10 a.m. to generate and maybe show signs of manipulation lower, and then for 10:15 to have like a nice little stacking PO3 where we manipulate it out into that 5-minute and to get a more discounted long from there, and then targeted an inversion through there, and not targeted but taking an inversion through there to target the low resistance and the relative equal highs that we left at Asia. So it would have been super nice. Now if you did end up taking this trade, I wouldn't have taken the 30 seconds here because I'm not a fan of 30 seconds. I much prefer 30 seconds with change in the state. I think this trade is completely fine, I'm not gonna lie. And the stop loss here, cool. You could have just went for like a 1-to-1 with this. Stop loss maybe at like a 30-second fair value gap here, because this definitely should have been like a straight flush if we were going to be bullish here. Target like a 1-to-1 with this. Sure, this idea is fine. Like, I do not mind this trade at all. If you did end up taking this, fair enough. This trade has pretty good narrative behind it. We do have an obvious, bro. God damn, I cannot speak. It's late right now. I apologize. But we did have super obvious draws higher to take, especially with that low resistance that we made at 950, which was a failure swing to Asia and the new week opening gap. So if you did end up taking this and going break even at Asia, definitely not a bad play. Of course, the second we did tap Asia, it was an instant break even. Or tap this new week opening gap and sweep at Asia, it was an instant break even. So it is what it is. This trade does end up playing out to that 1-to-1. So from here on, the thing is, I don't really look at new week opening gaps as something that we can reject off. I just kind of look at it as a DOL. Like, I don't really like when we bounce off them, because I don't really look at them as a valid key level. I'm not going to lie. There are more DOLs for me. So I was still low-key bullish here until we hit these 4-hour equal highs inside of this 4-hour gap. So yeah, we left a failure swing to this 4-hour gap, and we ended up leaving equal highs on the 4-hour with this unmitigated fair value gap here. And overall, looking very bullish on market open here. So that was definitely my final DOL for the day. And yeah, we ended up getting this play right here, I think it was. Yeah, cool. So we had this short as well. So it was a 30-second short that ended up playing out pretty nicely. But hold on, I'll just go back to when that was. I don't have the 30-second chart right here. But it was like right here, literally right here. So we ended up having an SMT. So we had a resweep inside of this on the S&P 500. So we had an SMT with internal range liquidity here. And we also had an unfilled 5-minute gap below us here, which was this gap right here. As we can see, let me just turn on the magnet instead of being a dickhead. There we go. We had this unfilled 5-minute gap here. Then we had an SMT internally with clean displacement on a 30-second short at around 10:17-ish. I know a few people definitely ended up taking this trade. One of my mentors, which is PB Blake, ended up taking this trade, and he ended up smacking TP on this trade. Very good trade if you did take this, and not very good actually. To be honest, in my opinion, I didn't really like this. Reason being is because it is a 30-second short. It does have an SMT instead of a new week opening gap, and we didn't really have much more reasoning to move higher here, except if we were going to move to these 4-hour draws above us. But it's just very, very counter trend. I don't like using new week opening gaps as areas that we can reject off of, but the discretion behind this is definitely there, and this is solid. But then this gets into the trade that I ended up taking today, and I'll say and go over why I took this. So cool. If we go to the 50-minute time frame here, we can see that we came into this 50-minute gap, and then we had this 5-minute gap that we opened up here. This is my condition for this. I said to myself, if we were going to be bearish in this sense, I would like to see us run through this 5-minute gap. And then maybe I could look for a continuation short or whatever it may be. Or it's basically just if this, then that. That's how I was looking at this situation. If you want to respect this 5-minute gap and then make a move higher and start heading towards these draws, like New York PM session here, the lunch session highs, London session, the Sunfield 4-hour with equal highs, then we could definitely do that. We did have higher time frame sponsorship here, and all the PO3s that has happened in this range. We had 9:30 obviously open lower and make a move higher. 10 a.m. did the same. So with this in mind, we had a very obvious bullish bias here, and we did have sponsorship here with this 15-minute fair value gap tap. So this 5-minute was a sponsored fair value gap by the higher time frame move. And we tapped into this 5-minute fair value gap, and I just absolutely loved the displacement that we got right after here. And this was super, super clean stuff. I ended up getting my entry in on this next candle, which was boom right here. I ended up taking longs here with my stop at the low, targeting just the 1-to-1 here with this, so just above here, with more draws higher to go with, and I ended up getting slammed on this setup, which is unfortunate because we ended up running my stop loss here and got a stop hunt, and then we ended up moving higher towards those draws. But this second trade that happened after was definitely invalid, considering we inversed this 5-minute gap to the downside. So just not really great PA from this. But the things wrong with this trade was just one simple thing that was wrong with this trade, and that is just the DOL was just not as significant. Like, our daily objective, in my opinion, was kind of already reached. I didn't even expect us to come up to these 4-hour highs today. After looking back at it, and we did run like 200, 300 points to the upside here. So taking this was sort of like the DOLs and what I'm targeting. This is technically high resistance as well, since it is in a new week opening gap. But again, I don't like looking at them as areas that we can reject off of. just sort of something that we want to fill and take. So yeah, the only thing wrong with this was just the lack of targets, and also our next DOL being um, our next main DOL, yeah, being a very very long way away. And considering this was at what 10:23, it was decently late into the session, not really, but yeah, I did like this trade in the moment. The displacement was fantastic. I felt like it was kind of bad for me to ignore this displacement and this reaction off this 5 minute. But yeah, the things lacking were a lack of structure above, and the DOLs just being not that great considering we've already filled the new week opening gap. So you probably look for a better retracement here. But yeah, we ended up getting stop rated on this, and then this ended up actually playing all the way out to those final draws on liquidity, and without us even coming back to here. Or maybe we did. Did we? Yeah. So this ended up just running all the way up to those draws in the end. Come on, come on, come on, come on, come on. There we go. So that ended up just running there. Um, Unfortunate stop point. I would definitely look at this as a statistical loss, but could this trade have been avoided? Yeah, for sure. I do agree that this trade could have been avoided. So it's just something to journal, something to learn from. And yeah, hopefully the rest of the week blesses us up with some nice PAs so we can get some good opportunities to take. Um, and yeah, hopefully March is a good month. February wasn't the best. Got a lot of break evens, took an L, maybe like two W's, a lot of break evens, a lot of break evens. So just overall pretty bad PA. Starting off March, PA was sort of mid as well, but obviously it's only the first day in March, so nothing to be worrying about. Hopefully the month will offer some good PA. And yeah, that's going to be it for today's trading recap. How I lost my trade today. So if you guys have any questions in the comments, please leave them down below. If you guys want to contact me personally, my Instagram, Discord, and TikTok will be in the bio of this video. So you can go check them out. If you want to give me a DM personally on either of those accounts, feel free. I answer every comment and reply to everything. Going to be documenting my entire journey to profitability. So super excited for that. My goal with trading is to be able to get good enough to, of course, be financially free, and then teach others how to do the same, and help others improve their lives, because I'm big on self improvement. And yeah, trading is just, it really does tear you down until it doesn't. It tears you down and makes you realize all the bad habits and things that you have going for you, and it teaches you to overcome them, which is like the beauty of trading. With a lot of people don't talk about. A lot of people just look at it as like a money thing, but this thing really, like trading really does improve you as a person. Like it does make you a better person, believe it or not. So yeah, that's gonna be it for today's recap, guys. I will catch you in the next video, which will be tomorrow. So peace.